The role of the legs, and specifically the knees within the golf swing, gets very little attention when compared to discussing how the upper body works. But the function of the knees directly affects what goes on above it, namely the hips, the torso, and the shoulders. So today, I'm going to share with you 5 reasons why you should be changing your knee flex and the benefits that come from doing so. Reason number 1 to change your knee flex would be to help you turn. And to demonstrate this, I'm going to sit myself down in the chair, and you can do this as well if you're sitting down right now. Push yourself back in the chair. I'm going to take this stick and I'm going to demonstrate to you how much turn we actually have in our upper body when we don't recruit any movement from our lower body. So by sitting back in this chair, I'm disabling my lower body. I'm not using any knee flex or hip turn. And the maximum amount I'm able to really turn my torso or my shoulders here is around 20 to 30 degrees. Now you may get slightly more, you may get slightly less depending on how old or flexible you are. But that demonstration alone should highlight to you the fact that we don't get 90 degrees of shoulder turn from the shoulders. We get 90 degrees of shoulder turn from somewhere else. And that somewhere else, if you guessed correctly, is from the knees. Everything starts at the ground. You want to start by turning your feet out. Have them turned out some 20 to 30 degrees, which helps to just place your knees in this slightly outward position. And from there, if you allow yourself to change your knee flex in the backswing, you'll start to see how we get something like 30 to 40 degrees of turn just from changing our knee flex. And by changing my knee flex, I'm also then able to turn my hips more. And once I've turned my hips sufficiently, around 45 degrees, I'm then in a position to be able to go ahead and really reach that fully completed turn position at the top. But to achieve this 90 degrees of shoulder turn, you see how much rotation and turn I need to recruit from the lower body. And that really does start with getting the knee flex change correct. Reason number 2 would be to turn the hips, but also to turn them on a tilted angle. Having the hips tilted to the ground is an important component of making a complete and correct backswing. Tilting is really fundamental to golf. The best golfers tilt themselves to the ground more than the poorest players. That allows them to keep this inclination to the ground as they swing and makes predictable contact more likely to happen. Changing your knee flex, letting your lead leg flex and your trail leg straighten, you'll see how as my knees turn on this tilted angle, my hips also respond and turn on this angle. That allows me to continue all the way to the top, turning on this tilted angle to the ground. If I wasn't to change my knee flex and keep them the same, as I swing back, the best I would get would be limited turn, and that turn would be on a much more level angle. That is definitely consistent with poor ball striking and loss of distance. So changing your knee flex, reason number 2, to turn your hips on a tilted angle. Reason number 3 would be to facilitate a more inward hand path in the backswing. I have the grid drawn on the ground here using the T-Claw product. The T-Claw allows me here to see that the club path and the hand path in the swing has an arc to it. There's a need to turn the hands around our body in terms of conforming to the swing geometry and in terms of power production. Changing your knee flex allows your hands and club to move more inwards, which would be correct. Opposite of that would be to keep the knees flexed, don't let them change flex, and as I reach a certain point in my backswing here, it's much more difficult for me to keep moving my hands around and conforming to the grid. Now I'm going to start to lift my limbs, bend my arms, and the swing's going to become more vertical than I would want because I'm not able to keep moving the club around me. However, should I choose to change my knee flex, bend my left knee, straighten my right from this position, you'll see how easy it is to get the hands and the club to achieve that desired depth in the swing and move around my body. So reason number 3 to change your knee flex is to move the hands and the club more around you, conform to the swing geometry more appropriately, and to create more powerful backswing. Reason number 4 would be to reduce your sway. Now, if you keep your knees too flexed, one of the biggest problems I see with that, golfers retarding the knee flex change, staying stable and static with the lower body, and as the club moves back, the pelvis and with it the weight starts to shift away from the target. We know from all the previous videos how that messes up the low point control of the swing. It basically makes your contact completely unpredictable. It makes you a poor golfer because you can't control the bottom of your swing arc. Conversely, changing your knee flex in the backswing allows us to turn. It allows us to turn on a tilted angle, and it allows us to turn without swaying. I'm able to keep my pelvis and my thorax and torso centered by allowing my knees to change flex. So often I feel golfers fall into this trap because they're trying not to sway, but ironically, by trying not to move, they end up increasing how much they sway. The secret to not swaying is not to not move, it's to move correctly, meaning that the legs changing flex, the knees changing flex is the roadmap you need. It unlocks the turning of the pelvis, which is the opposite of the swaying of the pelvis. So if we want to stop swaying, we need to learn that the hips have to turn. And in order for the hips to turn, we already know that the knees have to change flex. So reason number 4 to change your knee flex, to make a turn, a centered turn, without swaying. And reason number 5 that I'll give you to change your knee flex would be to reduce the stress on your body, relieve the pain, and make the swing as effortless as possible. Hopefully that sounds like a good thing for you. And the reason I can make that statement is because what I'm asking you to do when I tell you to change your knee flex, I'm simply asking you to move your body in the way that it was designed, in the fair range of motion for the joints. The knee joint is a flexion extension joint. It bends and it straightens. That's how it's designed. That's how you're supposed to use it. So allowing the knees to change flex is the easiest way to relieve stress on the body. If you're not changing your knee flex, you're typically placing too much stress and strain on a joint. When you restrict its mobility, you put additional stress onto that joint. And on top of that, you increase the range of motion necessary in another segment. So if I keep my trail leg flexed too much and don't allow it to straighten, I'm going to reach a point, as I said earlier on, where my swing is now restricted and I can't turn any further. Now, in order to lengthen my backswing, because I'm not going to stop here, at some level I understand that this backswing's too short, I'm going to need to try to get extra length out of my swing by moving another part of my body differently. In this instance, I'm overextending my upper body to try to lengthen my swing. And now I feel a strain in my back, even as I demonstrate this to you. So if you want to relieve pain and pressure on your body, reduce injury, play golf for a longer period of time, completely pain-free and with an effortless swing, the start point to that is to have your feet turned out at setup and to allow your knees to change flex in the backswing. This is the easiest movement I can make. As I talk to you here, I can continue talking in my normal tone of voice. There's no stress on my body. If I was to really restrict my movement and try to swing back, you'd hear that I'd start to really strain and struggle to talk. And at the same time, I've got no level of sufficient turn here in my golf swing. So a good test for you would be if you're swinging effortlessly and not using, not restricting the movement excessively in your golf swing, you should be able to make this lovely, large, big turn and still continue breathing and talking normally. There shouldn't be any stress, any strain when you reach the top and you start to struggle to speak. That's a sign that something's not moving how it should be. So, reason number 5, reduce the stress on your joints, equalize the stress across your body, use the body and the joints as they were designed to build that effortless swing into your golf game. One of the reasons I chose to address this topic today was because of a comment in a recent video where somebody asked, is it okay to change the knee flex? Because they'd been explicitly told by their coach to never straighten the back leg. Now, hopefully today I've shown you 5 great reasons why you should do that. But if you don't believe me, take a look at all the great players that have ever played the game throughout time. There is empirical evidence here that the knees change flex in all good golf swings. The idea that you should keep the back leg flexed throughout the entire swing is both nonsensical and also dangerous in the sense that it creates that overstressed joint and potential injury that you could suffer from if you go down that road. I want you to understand that the knees are the gateway to that perfect backswing pivot. And if you implement what I said today in the video, you're going to benefit from better technical proficiency. The geometry of your swing will improve, the power potential of your swing will improve, and you'll do all of those things while putting less stress on your body. I think that's a win-win for everybody. If you enjoyed the video today, guys, please go ahead and hit that like button, share this with your friends, and consider subscribing to the channel if you're new. Anybody interested in taking any online lessons with me, I'll put those links down in the description below. And if you want to learn how to keep your arms straight throughout the golf swing, then you can check out this video that I made right here. The answer to this question may surprise you. It's really not what you think, but once you understand this, you'll be able to keep your arms straight forever.